A video on Instagram surprised subscribers with a small detail that is easy to overlook. A bird is flying through the sky in the most ordinary way, flapping its wings as it is supposed to do, except there is a small blinking light attached to it, and it flashes evenly throughout the entire flight without losing its rhythm for a single second. Jokes poured into the comments. Have they really adapted birds to keep an eye on us now? Someone seriously guessed a tiny tracker, someone's ridiculous prank, or a filming defect. It is funny, but the little light really did blink. A person in Norway was filming from the window of his house and caught a bright object quietly floating through the sky in the frame. The lights on it burned evenly and were clearly readable against the dark background. For a few seconds it moved unhurriedly, an ordinary slow dot in the heights, and then, without any acceleration, it dashed in the opposite direction with such speed that it almost instantly disappeared from the frame. It is exactly this abruptness that convinced many. It darted from its place not by chance, but as if it felt it was being watched. The footage, filmed in Turkey in the year 2008, is being discussed even today. On it, a massive object is visible in the night sky, not similar to any single known flying apparatus, and the shape and movement are read surprisingly clearly. This is what made the video one of the most resonant in the history of observations. Specialists who studied the recording agreed on the fact that it is real, without editing or staging. Many even now call these Turkish frames some of the clearest that have ever been caught on film. A person was examining photographs of snow-covered Antarctica, and suddenly something flashed in the ice, too evenly for a stone, too brightly for snow. He zoomed in on the picture and froze. A silhouette, to the point of strangeness similar to a saucer, could be guessed under the ice. Not a fragment, not familiar machinery. He scrolled through the frame again and again, now enlarging, now zooming out, tearing himself between two thoughts. Either something really froze into the ice centuries ago and is now showing through the thickness of the ice, or his imagination itself drew the shape where there was only a play of light on the snow. This recording was made in the year 2019 by the crew of the United States of America Naval Forces combat ship Omaha off the coast of San Diego, and later the Pentagon officially recognized the video is authentic. In the footage, a glowing spherical object is moving next to the ship, and then, right before the eyes of the sailors, it goes under the water, without a splash of debris, without falling parts, it simply submerges and disappears. In the broadcast, a short naval went under the water, and a command to note the direction are heard. This is one of the few cases when the military themselves brought something like this out to the public, not hiding the recording under a classification mark, and they never explained what exactly dived into the ocean that evening. A quiet evening, a person went out onto the roof to breathe and noticed a bright light in the clear sky. At first, he attributed it to a glare from glass or a distant lantern, but a glare does not behave like that. The light was coming from something dense, voluminous, hanging right in the air, and then the object began to slowly turn around its axis, smoothly, evenly, without jerks, without wings, without a hum, in a way he had never seen in his life. The person stood, throwing his head back, and could not pick a single familiar name for what was seen. A recording from China gathered attention because colored spheres were scattered across the night sky. Each burned with its own shade and kept a distance from the rest, as if someone had neatly placed them at points and not scattered them randomly. What surprised the most was their complete immobility. The lights did not drift in the wind, did not flicker chaotically, but calmly hung each in its own place, like lamps screwed into an invisible ceiling. Around, not a sound, not a movement, only multicolored dots in the darkness, and a persistent feeling of someone's calculation. A couple was driving through Buenos Aires and filmed how a huge metallic object glides through the air right next to the car. The surface is smooth, but panels and barely noticeable openings, in which the city lights were reflected, are distinguishable on it. What amazed the people was not even this, but how quietly it moved, ideally keeping perfectly level with the automobile, like a fellow traveler in the adjacent lane. The recording quickly diverged and is considered one of the clearest. What kind of colossus attached itself to them so closely, they never understood in the car. On the 24th of September of the year 2025, a man in New York filmed something inexplicable from his house. Far away in the sky, a glowing object hovered. At first, the camera shakes. Then the picture levels out, and here the viewers get chills. Smaller lights begin to separate from the bottom of the object, as if it is releasing something into the air. The scene looked completely unreal, but the recording remained steady and clear until the end. People chased it in a circle, trying to understand what kind of swarm was born before their eyes in the New York sky. A video from a dense forest in Colorado gathered viewers from all over the network. Between the trunks, something massive and coal black slowly but confidently floated. The shape was too regular to turn out to be a shadow or a glare on the foliage. Connoisseurs call this recording one of the clearest that have ever been made in those parts. The quiet, noiseless movement of the huge dark mass through the thicket made the picture particularly uneasy. Not a rustle of branches, not a startled bird, and someone wrote shortly under the video, "It means it is closer than we think." A calm evening in a residential quarter ended with something no one expected. People were coming out of their houses with telephones at the ready and looking up. High in the sky, a glowing saucer hung motionlessly. Not a sound, not a movement. And then a bright blue beam appeared under it and stretched all the way to the ground. Dense, almost tangible, as if a light bridge had been thrown between the sky and the courtyard. Neighbors filmed without tearing themselves away, and the beam held for exactly as long as it took for everyone to manage to doubt their own eyes. A video from Vietnam, filmed on the 1st of June right in the midst of a thunderstorm. The sky is torn by flashes of lightning, and in one of the discharges, a round object clearly emerges from the darkness. It hangs almost motionlessly, as if the storm around does not concern it at all. Neither the wind nor the downpour seem to have power over it. The person filming was clearly taken aback, but did not put the camera away, and the round silhouette remained in the frame for a few seconds, illuminated by the thunderstorm. The lightning seemed to have deliberately outlined its contour, and what this was, so it remained without an answer above the Vietnamese clouds. On the 5th of August of the year 2025, a tourist was filming his dog on the peak of the Malvern Hills in England, and something else got into the frame. A long, smooth, wingless something rushed through the sky so fast that the eye barely had time to catch it. A flash, an emptiness, not a sound, not an inversion trail, not blinking lights which airplanes have. On the very same day, thousands of kilometers away, in Florida, another person was filming a thunderstorm over the beach and caught almost the exact same thing between the discharges of lightning. Two coasts, two different operators, not a single common detail, and one and the same stroke in the sky. A black and white recording surfaced on the network without a caption, no author, no date, no location of the filming. The picture is grainy, the frame shakes. A disc hangs motionlessly over an open field, and suddenly, figures begin to separate downward from it. They descend smoothly, keeping formation, too cohesively for people with ordinary parachutes. The video scattered in a matter of hours. It was refilmed from screens, re-uploaded to dozens of platforms, and then it disappeared just as quickly from the primary source, as if someone was methodically cleaning up the traces. Only a couple of re-recorded copies remained, and a question without an answer. Who and for what reason was hurrying so much to erase this from the network? An object in the shape of a triangle hovered in the night sky and did not move at all. No drift, no swaying, not the slightest sound. Soft purple lights flashed along the edges with an even interval, as if someone had set a rhythm for them, like a metronome. It is exactly by these flashes in the darkness that the clear geometry was read. 3 angles, 3 straight edges. Viewers argued about one thing. What kind of apparatus is capable of freezing like that in the air, not swaying even from the wind? In September of the year 2025, over the bay near the shores of Guatemala, an object of strange shape was noticed, moving evenly through the sky. According to reports, an Apache combat helicopter was located nearby, and its optics allegedly began to glitch exactly when the cameras were aimed at this object. It held in the sky for a short time and dissolved. And on the network, they guessed for a long time what kind of technology is capable of jamming the targeting electronics of one of the most perfect attack helicopters in the world like that. Over the parking lot of an ordinary Walmart supermarket hung something huge and metallic, and this was filmed on a telephone. Blue lights burned with an even light on the sides, and it looked so real that viewers set about taking the video apart frame by frame. They looked for a splice, a reflection in the glass, traces of editing. They did not find anything. The object held itself in the air absolutely motionlessly, as if it had parked right above the automobiles of the buyers, and just as routinely as they themselves had driven into the parking lot for groceries. The 31st of July of the year 2025, a flight from Las Vegas to Seattle, almost 2,000 kilometers above the ground. A passenger by the porthole notices a glowing dot in the distance. At first it seems that it is just another airplane, but the object is moving with the exact same speed, not falling behind and not overtaking, as if it deliberately adjusted to the airliner. And then, without any maneuver, it dives into the clouds and vanishes, leaving the cabin in that silence when people have not yet picked the words for what was seen. A group of glowing lights hung motionlessly in the sky, in an even formation, as if waiting for something. A minute, 2, 3, nothing. And then, in one and the same instant, all of them at once moved upwards. Not out of step, not in turn, but ideally synchronously, as if they had received a common signal, which no one from the ground heard. Those who filmed this were confident. Neither birds, nor drones, nor airplanes fly like that. Something up above acted concertedly and clearly according to a plan. In a remote corner of Saudi Arabia, a short video was filmed which was immediately dragged across the entire network. In the distance over the red-hot sands hung a strange object, and opinions instantly split in two. Some immediately discerned an unidentified flying object and started talking about aliens somewhere nearby. Others besieged the arguers. It looks like a large military machine. Who knows what they test in the unpopulated desert? The picture was too distant and trembling to put a full stop, and the arguments under the video did not calm down for a long time yet. A girl uploaded a recording from her Ring door camera to TikTok, and the video quickly gained views. Night, a quiet street, and suddenly a glowing object rushes past the house, so fast that the camera barely managed to catch only a blurred stroke of light in the darkness, but the lights on it did not resemble either the flashers of an airplane or the bulbs of a drone. Viewers time after time put the recording on pause, slowed it down, peered into every frame, and still could not say what exactly flew by the porch that night. A guy was filming an ordinary road from behind the steering wheel, and the uploaded video suddenly scattered across the network. Right in the air, in broad daylight, hung a massive metallic colossus. And the main thing, the glares on its surface behaved like real metal under the sun, and not like drawn computer graphics. Some shouted about neural networks and editing, others swore to God that it was filmed live and it is simply impossible to explain it. The argument was hot, with storyboards and freeze frames, and the thing itself over the road remained exactly like that without a name. High above the ground, two large objects appeared out of nowhere at once. The shapes are not airplane-like, not helicopter-like, nothing familiar, plus a cold glow along the edges. They moved smoothly and cohesively, and there was something truly uncomfortable in this, as if both knew that they were being observed and were not in a hurry to show themselves up close. The recording was spun again and again in search of a detail that would explain everything: a satellite, a reflection, a splice. But instead of an answer, only a new question appeared. What exactly are they hiding from us in this height? In the year 1975, a brigade of lumberjacks was working near the town of Snowflake in Arizona and stumbled upon the inexplicable. Between the trees noiselessly hung a metallic disc, dimly reflecting in the advancing twilight. The men became numb. Then rumors went around the neighborhood. One from the brigade disappeared for several days, and having returned, told strange things, as if he had been taken aboard that apparatus. No one was ever able to prove this, but the story, even after half a century, remains one of the most discussed in Arizona. In October of the year 2024, a video from Beijing appeared on the network, and it gathered attention instantly. Over the Xunyi district in the night sky, a large glowing object froze, high up, much higher than the city lights, and at the same time absolutely motionlessly. In the comments, people wrote that they had seen similar lights on the exact same days nearby, and questions only accumulated. Someone attributed everything to a drone or a spotlight, but these versions quickly crumbled too. An ordinary airplane does not hover over a metropolis like that, and what hovered over the Beijing sky, they did not manage to find out that night. The recording begins with the fact that a fast object rushes past the porthole of an airplane, and what hooked people was not the movement itself, but a distinct inscription on the side. The letters formed the word "truff." The video instantly crawled across platforms, and the viewers got stuck in doubts whether this is a real, unidentified apparatus with a marking or something completely earthly, successfully caught at the needed angle. Someone sorted through aviation companies and military units in search of an aircraft with such a designation and did not find it, and the recording is continually chased in a circle, analyzing every letter. A photographer went out at night to film the starry sky and through the lens noticed something that should not be there. A soft purple light was slowly crawling across the dark firmament, not similar to any single familiar airplane. It did not blink alarmingly, did not rush, but calmly drifted and for a long time did not leave the frame before melting in the distance. This was filmed over Kingsville in the year 2025, and the photographer caught himself on the thought that such quiet purple guests in the sky come his way more and more often. A passenger of a flight over Bangkok filmed through the porthole something from which viewers simply became confused. Over the clouds, evenly, without pitching, hung an object in the shape of a cube, with sharp, clearly delineated edges, distinctly standing out against the background of the bright sky. It moved entirely not like an airplane, and it did not resemble an air balloon either by shape or by behavior. A rare drone, an optical illusion, or something completely new? The argument remained open, and the angular silhouette over Thailand was seen all over the world. A couple was returning home in the evening and noticed something unusual above themselves. In the dark sky, in one place, an object softly blinked interchangeably with multicolored lights. It did not drift, did not dim, did not move to the side. It simply hung, as if examining the ground beneath it. The two froze and watched as the lights unhurriedly changed shades, now green, now reddish, now cold white, and then slowly extinguish. The short video later diverged across the network, and many asked themselves the exact same question: what is capable of freezing exactly like this in the open night sky? One video from Staten Island bypassed the remaining videos with strange lights. On Instagram, they showed several bright objects in an even formation, according to the estimations of eyewitnesses, each the size of a small automobile. They moved quietly, as if combing the blocks below. Similar messages were coming from New Jersey, where the lights were at first attributed to drones, except these did not pass for familiar drones at all. Then people began to notice such things as far as in California, and the doubt grew by itself. Is this our technology or not anymore? A person was walking through the city, raised his head, and something was floating over the streets. A round object, illuminated from below with green lights, moved so smoothly as if it were gliding along an invisible surface and not flying through the air. Not any jerks, not any familiar hum of an engine. Passers-by who got into the frame immediately noted it is not similar either to a drone or to an airplane or to a helicopter. In this quiet, unhurried gliding of the green circle over the roofs, there was something simultaneously peaceful and completely alien. Late at night, a person decided to test a strange little light in the sky in the simplest way. He aimed a laser pointer at it, purely out of curiosity, and here happened what he did not expect at all. The beam did not dissolve into emptiness, but as if bounced back, a short flash came exactly from the direction where he was aiming. It seems the object noticed him and answered. The video quickly spread and many agreed this does not pass for an ordinary glare from an airplane or a satellite in any way. A passenger glanced into the porthole and saw something clearly superfluous next to the airplane. A metallic object in the shape of a saucer was gliding at almost the exact same speed as the airliner, keeping an even distance, not approaching and not falling behind. The person snatched out his telephone and managed to film for a few seconds, while the saucer moved side by side and then smoothly moved to the side and hid. Exactly this cold-blooded ability of it to fly level with a passenger airplane is what does not give peace to many even up to now. A public event was going on. A woman was performing on the stage, in front of her an entire crowd. One of the viewers was filming on a telephone and only afterwards, reviewing the recording, noticed something behind the performer. Across the clouds in the depth of the frame, a pale object softly floated. Neither to an airplane nor to an air balloon did it bear resemblance either by shape or by movement. It simply smoothly passed through the sky and hid. At that time, no one noticed it live. It got into the frame accidentally as a background to someone else's speech and surfaced already later on the video. A family from Japan uploaded a video to TikTok, filmed from the window of an apartment somewhere on the upper floors. In the frame, a huge object in the shape of a saucer, silently hovering right in the sky opposite the house. In the background, the agitated voices of the household members are heard. By the intonation, it is clear that they themselves do not believe in what they are seeing right behind the glass. The short video immediately scattered, and the viewers argued about one thing: how closely to the windows this colossus hung. From the upper floors, the sky seems closer, and here it crept up almost point blank. A company of students sat up late in the evening on the street, and someone noticed bright lights in the sky. At first they decided an airplane, a habitual matter. But the lights suddenly began to blink in strange patterns, and it became clear. They are scattered across a large object hanging in the air. The merriment quieted down at once. This moved completely not like any familiar vessel. One snatched out his telephone, the rest simply silently looked upwards. The short video later went viral, and under it one word flashed more and more often: unidentified flying object. Vacationers on the beaches of the Outer Banks in North Carolina suddenly froze. 14 bright spheres hung over the ocean. The glowing dots lined up in a line, too even to be attributed to chance. People grabbed their telephones, not understanding what they are filming. The spheres held over the water motionlessly, not drifting and not dimming, for several minutes in a row. And then they began to extinguish, one after another, until the sky became empty again. 14, exactly in a row, and not a single explanation of who lit them. A video from Delaware diverged because of lights in the night sky, which stubbornly did not wish to be explained. Several flashes, not similar either to reflections or to the onboard lights of airplanes. They blinked in a precise, even rhythm and were spaced across the sky in a pattern, too ordered for a chance occurrence. In the frame, it is heard how people excitedly repeating one and the same word, interrupting each other, not finding another one, and they themselves do not believe their own voice. What they in actual fact saw that night over Delaware, so it remained a subject of argument. A recording of an object glowing high above the clouds was uploaded to the network. Soft glares ran across its surface. In places they resembled a row of illuminated windows. A clear shape could not be discerned, but one thing is clear. It is not similar to anything familiar in the sky. The object moved excessively smoothly and evenly, without a single jerk to consider it an accidental glare. Whether this is a real apparatus or merely a play of light on the clouds, it is possible to argue endlessly, but the recording leaves a feeling of an alien presence overhead for sure. People could not believe their own eyes. High above the ground quietly floated a strange object. Not an airplane, not a drone, something completely different in shape. Telephones flew upwards in seconds, and the video became viral even before the end of the day. Many guessed whether this is an advanced flying robot of a new model, but no one was ever able to confirm the guess. The object moved smoothly, without a single sound and without a hint of wings. Whatever it was, it did not pass for the accustomed sky absolutely. Morning, a person went out into the courtyard without any expectations and noticed something alien above his own house. The object hovered right above the roof and held there, slowly shifting, as if attentively studying the courtyard and everything around. In the recording, it is heard how the eyewitness hurries to film. It is moving, quicker, quicker. He did not tear his eyes away, tearing himself between curiosity and anxiety. And then the object, just as quietly as it appeared, went out of view, leaving the person alone in the middle of the courtyard. On the International Space Station, which flies at an altitude of about 400 kilometers, the crew was keeping an eye on the external view cameras, and at the very edge of the frame, something superfluous appeared. The object moved in a way that not a single familiar apparatus on orbit moves. When they began to analyze the recording, many agreed. It looks like a cylindrical, unidentified flying object, silently floating in the cosmic emptiness. They did not manage to examine it properly. It disappeared just as suddenly as it appeared. In the year 2023, a pilot of a private airplane experienced that which he will not forget until the end of his life. He was moving in the clear sky when ahead he noticed a moving object, fast and absolutely soundless. Neither engines nor wings, nothing that would explain the flight. And at the same time, it easily glided at an unthinkable speed. The pilot with the passenger immediately grabbed for the camera and filmed that which many now call one of the most convincing observations of unidentified phenomena. This thing did not resemble the machinery of humans in any way. A new video raised the old topic of the pyramids to a completely new level. On the footage, something very similar to an unidentified flying object is slowly descending right toward the pyramids of Giza, structures which are about 4,500 years old. This caught the viewers by surprise. The video was reviewed again and again. Conversations immediately crawled, but suddenly this is somehow connected to the secrets which the ancient tombs have been storing already for millennia, and questions after the video remained far more than answers. A company of friends was on the street at night when they noticed in the sky a glowing saucer with greenish-blue lights quietly hanging right above them. But what surprised them was not even this. Under the saucer hung an object of strange shape, as if it were carrying it on itself, like a cargo on an invisible cable. The scene seemed unreal and at the same time too clear to simply wave it off. Some decided an unidentified flying object, others that they are testing a classified apparatus. What exactly that saucer was dragging through the sky remained their common unsolved night. For those who still doubt in the existence of extraterrestrial life, this recording is capable of slightly shaking their confidence. A passenger of a flight did not believe his eyes when right outside the window of the airplane a massive colossus appeared, floating side by side with the airliner. The shape of it was such that it did not pass for a work of human hands at all. The passenger grabbed a telephone and tried to catch every detail. The object held alongside for a short time and dissolved in the clouds, leaving everyone alone with one question. What was flying so close back then? Late at night, the sky was illuminated by a strange apparatus, noiselessly gliding in the heights. Bright lights and an unusual shape immediately chained gazes. Someone said, "It is like a frame from science fiction," and someone connected what was seen with the legendary gray aliens. It is curious that not everyone considers the Greys guests from other planets. According to one of the versions, it is us ourselves, people of the distant future, with enlarged heads and thinned bodies. And if it is so, then whose ship is this? Maybe of travelers in time who return to observe us. Has it ever happened to you to raise your head and see in the sky that which simply does not fit in the head? One day on a quiet evening, one person encountered this. An apparatus in the shape of a wedge, with the letter V, smoothly passed over him. Complete silence, not a sound of an engine, only ideally even, verified gliding. Neither to an airplane nor to a drone was it similar. Some say a secret military development, something like a new bomber. Others are confident that the matter is much more mysterious. It all lasted not for long, but it deprived the person of the gift of speech. One night, people threw their heads back and became dumbfounded. Over the town, a little green light quietly hung, too motionless for an airplane or a drone. And then suddenly, a second little light separated from it and unhurriedly floated to the side, as if it had its own route. Everyone grabbed their telephones, but before anyone managed to understand what is happening in general, both lights at once melted in the darkness. Someone called this a practical joke. Someone objected, too precisely and cohesively for an ordinary joke. And so they diverged to their homes, not knowing what they had just been witnesses to. On a quiet night in Kentucky, someone filmed an object in the sky, from which it was simply impossible to tear the eyes away. It hung in complete silence, and every few seconds flashed with a harsh red light, bright, distinct, clearly standing out against the black background. The object moved slowly, almost lazily, and from this unhurriedness, the observation became only more anxious, as if it had nowhere to hurry. The short video quickly went across the network, and the viewers began to argue. A drone, a reflection or something, to which for now there is simply no name. The red light over Kentucky thus did not give out its riddle to anyone. Write comments, which fragment you like the most. Put likes and subscribe to the channel Top Facts, to the selections of the most incredible and interesting facts on the entire internet. And right now, watch our previous issues, which right now appeared on your screen.